Hello all. Uh, so now I'm going to discuss about the subject called it as structure analysis. Okay. In some of the colleges or some of the autonomous universities, it is divided into two parts: structure analysis 1 and structure analysis 2. In some of the college, it is also known as theory of structures 1 and theory of structures 2. Okay. The purpose of taking up the structure analysis is we are going to learn GATE. It is useful for GATE as well as for semester examinations. Okay. So now the semester exams, in sense I will be solving the semester examination problems also here along with the GATE questions, right. So before going to solve the semester questions or the GATE questions, we should learn the concepts. Okay. So today what I will be doing is I will be teaching you the introduction of structural analysis. Okay. So in this introduction of structural analysis, you should divide the structural analysis into two parts, one into the structure, other one is to the analysis. Okay. So before going to what is structural, we should learn what is structure. Okay. Suppose this is a system of connected parts to support a load, this is called a structure. Okay. So this structure, when this beam is connected to these two supports, this is a hinge support as this is a roller support, and we will be considering this beam as an elastic body. So when this elastic body is subjected to a set of loads like W over here, so there will be some deformation. Okay. So this deformation, when this deformation is happening because of these elastic body properties, okay, there will be many properties we will be dealing later. Okay. Some mechanical properties, there will be some physical properties too. Okay. So because of those mechanical and physical properties, this beam is going to deform like this. Okay. So it is not going to completely fail or completely collapse. The reason is, when it is deforming, there is some resistance that is offered by a body against the deformation. Okay. So then we can call it as a structure. Okay. In short, when in an elastic body, when a set of loads are subjected, there is a deformation, and the resistance against to that deformation is known as a structure. Okay. So when this resistance is happening, for suppose if you take a section over here, okay, when you cut a section like that, there will be some resistance against deformation. Who is creating those resistance? These external reactions. Okay. So these external reactions, these two are this is axial force, this is shear force, and this is the moment. Okay. So what is our purpose? Our purpose is to find various internal external moments or internal moments or forces, internal forces or external forces in a structure. Okay. So where will you get these external forces or external moments? You will be getting from the support. Okay. So our main aim in our structure analysis to calculate these external as well as these internal forces. Okay. For suppose if there is no resistance against deformation, what will happen? So this is an internal hinge, and when a load W is acted upon this internal hinge, okay, there won't be the resistance that is generating against the deformation. Then such type of structure is known as mechanism, and such type of failure is known as mechanism, and the normal term for mechanism is collapse. All right. Now to solve this, it is not so much easy to find out these internal and external reactions. So before going to find out these internal and external reactions, we have to do some analysis. Okay, to find these both the conditions, internal and external reactions. Okay. So to solve these internal and external reactions, we have to take some certain assumptions. Okay. Without assumptions, our analytical part will be laborious. Okay. So in order to avoid those things, in order to avoid that difficulty, we are going to take certain assumptions. In that, the first one is structure follows Hooke's law. Okay. Hooke's law means stress is directly proportional to strain up to the proportionality limit. Okay. In some textbooks they will write elastic limit also. All right. Now the second assumption will be structure is homogeneous and isotropic. Okay. And the third assumption is principle of superposition is valid. Now if you see, structure follows Hooke's law. Hooke's law means stress is proportional to strain up to elastic limit. So we should get a linearity in between stress and strain. If you take concrete in compression, the stress strain curve will be like this. Okay, but what is our assumption? This is the practical case when the concrete is in compression, so it is a parabolic. Okay, but what is our assumption? It is a linearity assumption. So how we are making linearity? Okay, we are considering a linearity like this. It means we are underestimating the strength. Okay, so based upon this assumption, this assumption means we are underestimating the strength. Okay, earlier it is parabola, but how much we are getting over here? This is the curve. If you draw a chord to that, so this will become the underestimating strength. Okay, the second thing is structure is homogeneous and isotropic. Okay, but in the practical structures we are not going to take homogeneous, we are going to take heterogeneous. For example, you take a concrete and steel. Concrete is one material, steel is another material. We are using two different types of materials, but still we are assuming here it as an homogeneous. And the second condition is isotropic. Isotropic means it is a function of a direction. So all the physical quantities should from a point they should pass in a same direction. Okay, but if you take concrete, steel, we are using different types of materials. Their Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, okay, shear modulus, they all are different. So those physical quantities are different. Again, this is an assumption. Second one is principle of superposition is valid. Okay, so principle of superposition is valid means if you take this fixed beam and it is having an UDL. Okay, when 2 point UDL along with 2 point loads, so this may be a deflection diagram. Okay, solving this problem with 2 point loads and a UDL is very much difficult. But if you split into two parts, one with point loads, other one with UDL, so these deflections delta, this is total delta, so this is delta 1 dash, this is delta 2 dash. So if you want to get the final deflection delta, you just sum up this delta 1 dash plus delta 2 dash. So like this we can follow this assumption. So principle of superposition is valid. Okay, and one more thing, principle of superposition is not valid for secondary stresses. Secondary stresses means there are two types of secondary stresses. One is lack of fit. Okay, other one is sinking of supports, right? And the next one is temperature. Okay, so these are right. So these are the different types of assumptions which we are going to follow. Okay, and the next one is classification of structures. Okay, so once we have taken the assumptions, we will be having different types of structures in which you are seeing in your day-to-day life. So first one is a skeletal or framed structures. Okay, so skeletal or framed structures. So this is a portal frame over here, and this is a plain truss over here. Okay, now if you see structure which can be idealized to a series of straight or curved lines. Okay, so these are the straight lines. Okay, and these are the inclined lines, and sometimes we will be having curved beams. Okay, so those are known as a skeletal or framed structures. So example is roof trusses, building frames. So this is the building frame, this is a roof truss. Okay, you can consider it as a plain truss. So these are the one of the classification of structures. So next one is surface or membrane structures. So surface or membrane structures, here the thickness of the structure or the thickness of the member will be negligible. Okay, even though we consider it, we have to neglect it. Okay, so structure which can be idealized to plane or curved surfaces. Okay, so examples are slabs, shells, plates, etc. Okay, so slabs, you know, because RCC slabs we are going to design in every time, you can see anywhere in your day-to-day life. Is shells, these are the like your thin cylinders. Okay, your thin cylinders like bunkers, silos. So those materials are known as shells, plates, etc. Okay, suppose if you see a slab over here, your slab has to be decided whether it is a one way or two way. Okay, so generally what people will do is Lx by Ly is less than 2, it is called two way slab. Lx by Ly, if it is greater than 2, it is one way slab. Like that, there is some assumptions, but that is not a correct assumption. Okay, so you have to follow this assumption. So in order to have a one way deformation, that is one way slab, you should have deformation, these red dotted lines. Okay, here if the deformation is only either on two sides, okay, two sides, total 4 sides will be there for a slab. So on one side, if the deformation is like this, two sides means this one side along the length. So then we can call it as along the length or along the width, then we can call it as a one-way slab. If the deformation is on the both, that is on the four sides, we can call it as a two-way slab. Okay. The best example for your one-way slab is, if you take a paper, okay, if you take a paper, if you bend like this, okay, if you bend like this, the deformation you can see along the width side there is a deformation. Okay. So along the length there is no deformation, along the width sides on the both sides we are having deformation. So this is a one-way slab. Okay. But if you take a cup saucer, okay, if you are having a cup saucer, those deformation is on two sides. Okay. In the design of slabs, we are having bending moment and torsional moments are predominant. Okay. So this is about the two types of classification of structures. So the next type is solid structures. In the solid structures, structure which can neither be idealized to a skeletal nor to a plane or curved surfaces. So examples are dam, raft foundation and pedestals. Okay. So here there will be 6 stresses that will be generating along each plane. There will be 3 stresses. There will be 2 normal stress. The another one is 1 shear stress. Okay. So if you are having at each plane, if you consolidate it, totally we will be having a 6 stresses: sigma x, sigma y, sigma z, tau xy, tau yz, tau xz are the stresses used to analyze the given structures. Okay. So in the solid structures like dams, like raft foundation, like pedestal. So what is pedestal? I think you have seen a metro deck or any deck bridge. Okay. So this is a deck bridge. Okay. And this is a column. Okay. So to join this deck, okay, and this column, or this is also known as pier. Okay. Pier or column, and this is deck slab or deck. Okay. To join this deck as well as pier, so there will be a pedestal in between these two for resisting the bearing stresses. For resisting bearing stresses, this pedestal will be provided. Okay. So this is known as a pedestal. Okay. So this is about solid structures. Okay. So here we have to consider in x direction, y direction and z direction. So whereas in skeletal structure, that is a 3D structure, whereas your thin members or membrane structure, that is 2D structures like your slab. Okay. These are the different types of structures. The next one is system of forces. Okay. So this system of forces, we have to strictly follow this system of forces, because we will be having different types of members that are joining in whichever point they want in your skeletal structures. Okay. So first of all, so when a load is applied on a particular member, okay, so we have to consider this system of forces. First one is coplanar and concurrent force system. Okay. Concurrency means when two forces are meeting at a single point. Coplanar means which are lying in a single plane. So in a single plane, we are having sigma fx 0, sigma fy equal to 0. Here concurrent means 2 points are coming and meeting at a joint. So that is known as concurrency. So coplanar, non-concurrent. So coplanar, non-concurrent, sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, sigma m equal to 0. Next, non-coplanar. So these are now will go to 3D picture. Okay. In a non-coplanar concurrent force system, sigma fx equal to 0, fy equal to 0 and fz equal to 0. And next one is non-coplanar, non-concurrent force system. So here we will be having sigma fx equal to 0, fy equal to 0, fz equal to 0, and sigma mx equal to 0, my equal to 0 and mz is equals to 0. So this system of forces, when we are solving for static indeterminacy, okay, which we will be discussing it later, when we are solving it for static indeterminacy, we will be experiencing this system of forces. Okay. Next one. So the next important thing is supports. So in the supports, you have to analyze how the structure is behaving. Okay. So if you see here, first of all, this is a fixed support. Okay. I have written here types of supports and support reactions. So this is a fixed support. Okay. This fixed support, we can idealize it as like this. Okay. And second one is a hinged support. So I can idealize this as this hinged support. And third one is roller support. So I can idealize this roller support either like this or like this in our structure analysis. So these are the idealizations. Now if you take first part, that is fixed support. So if you hold a pen like this, okay, if you hold a pen like this, it cannot move up, it cannot move down, otherwise it cannot rotate. Okay. So how it is not rotating, okay, and how it is not translating, okay, moving down or moving in x direction or moving in y direction or rotating. Okay. So these I can call it as a translation. The technical term we can call it as a translation. Now if I am holding this pen, this is a beam, so it cannot rotate. Okay. So it cannot rotate means something is resisting. Okay. The resisting force against the rotation is known as moment. Okay. The resisting force against the vertical translation is called reaction in y direction. The resisting force along the translation in x direction, that is called reaction. Okay. So now what do you mean by translation? Which can move in x direction, that is called translation in x, which can move. Okay. Translation in y direction, which can move in y direction. Rotation, okay, that is an anti-clockwise rotation. So these are the possible things which can move. Okay. Translation means movement, not movement, it's movement. Okay. Now the resisting forces for these movements is called reaction. Okay. Otherwise the opposite word to movement is reaction. Okay. Now if you see, if this can move in x direction, that is called some freedom is there, it is also known as degree of freedom. So it can move along x direction. If I am resisting this movement in x direction, that is called a reaction. Okay. So that's why in the fixed support this is called as a reaction. Suppose this translation, this movement in y direction, if it can move, we can call it as degree of freedom in y direction, otherwise we can call it as translation in y direction. If something is restricting this translation in y direction or degree of freedom in y direction, then it is called a reaction in y direction. And the next one, rotation. Okay, it can rotate anti-clockwise or clockwise, okay, based upon our assumptions. So this degree of freedom is a rotation. Okay, if someone is restricting this degree of freedom on rotation, then we can call it as a moment. Okay, this is called as a moment. Next, so how many reactions are there in 2D? 3 reactions, Rx, Ry and moment. Okay. So number of external reactions. So number of external reactions in 3 dimensional. So this is a 2D. If you take a 3 dimensional structure, so the number of reaction quantities will be Rx, Ry, Rz, Mx, My, Mz. Otherwise we can call it as a fixed beam or a fixed support in space. So fixed support in space is how many reactions will be having? 6 reactions. So Rx is one reaction, Ry, Rz, Mx, My, Mz. Okay. So this is about the fixed support in space. Next one is hinged support. In the hinge support, reactions are 2. Okay. Hinge support cannot move in y direction, cannot translate in y direction, cannot translate in x direction, that is cannot move in x direction. Okay. But it can have a rotation. Okay. So in 2 dimensional, how many degree of freedoms we are having here? Here reactions are 3. Here degree of freedom is 0 in the fixed support. If you come to the hinge support, your degree of freedom will become 1. What is the degree of freedom? That is nothing but a rotation. So hinge support can rotate, but it cannot translate in x, but it cannot translate in y also. Next, roller support. Now if you see roller support, the reaction will be Ry. It means it cannot move along y direction. Okay, but it can move in x direction because rollers are present over there, so it can move in y direction, sorry, x direction. Okay, and there is a rotation. Okay, so how many degree of freedoms we are having? Along x it can move and also it can rotate. So degree of freedoms will be 2. Okay, similarly in 3D, this hinged support are having 3 reactions and roller support is having 1 reaction. Okay, so this is about supports and their reactions. Next one is horizontal guided roller and vertical guided roller. This can be idealized like this, here, like this and like this. So in this roller, it is very similar to, it is very much similar to your roller support, but here we will be having moment extra. So our reactions will be M as well as Ry. Okay, this is called vertical guided roller. Here our reactions will be along X because it can translate in Y. That's why Ry is 0 here. Okay, it can translate in Y, but it cannot move in X, and and also it cannot rotate. Okay, so these are about the external reactions, horizontal guided roller and vertical guided roller. Okay, next one is structures based on dimensions. Okay, so structures based on dimensions means, as I have discussed, it is 2D, 3D. Similar manner here we will be calling it as a 2D, we will be calling it a plane. Okay, plane means as like this paper, this is X and this is Y. Okay, so this is plane frame and this is the space frame. So plane frame means what? All the members of plane frame as well as the external loads are assumed to be in one plane. So the loads which are acting on the structure should be acting only on the single plane, either in XY or YZ or ZX. Okay, any one plane. Next one is space frame. All members do not lie in a plane. Okay, so it will lie in all the three directions, X, XY, YZ, ZX. In all the directions we will be having the loadings. So that is the meaning of these structures based on dimensions. Next one is structure based on the joint. Okay, so there are two types of joints we are going to look after here. So one is pin jointed frame, another one is rigid jointed frames. Okay, so in the pin jointed frames, so it is assumed that all the loads that must be acted only upon the joints. Okay, why we are applying only on joints, why not on members? If you are applying on the members, this member is going to deflect. Okay, this member is going to bend. Okay, which is not desirable for our analytical purposes and also for the practical purposes. The main aim of applying loads only on joints is to avoid bending. Okay, so that is the reason when we are avoid bending, the forces which must be there in the truss member are known as axial forces. Okay, axial forces may be either tension or compression. Okay, the force moving towards the joint, I am considering it as a compression. The force moving away from the joint, I am considering it as a tension. All right. So now this is a pin jointed frame. We have to analyze this pin jointed frame and we have to calculate the internal member forces. So if you cut a member here, so what type of force we will be seeing here? Again there will be a member force, that is an axial force, compression. That is, this is the external reaction which we have to calculate in our structural analysis. Okay, in the pin jointed frames, our interest is to apply the loads on the loads on the joints, not on the members, and also we have to calculate all the internal forces of the members. Okay, next, rigid joint. So this is a portal frame. When a load is acted upon a portal frame, this is a fixed support and this is a hinged support over here. So these are the three reactions, 1, 2 and 3, and this is the fourth and fifth reaction, as I have shown in your previous slide. So these are the reactions that are present on the support. Now what do you mean by rigid joint? That is our interest here. Okay, so whenever a load is applied and whenever a deformation is happened over here, okay, so before there is a 90 degrees angle over here in the portal frame. So after deformation, okay, after deformation, this angle which we are having over here should not change. So that 90 degrees angle should not change. Okay, so no change in angle between two members before and after deformation is called rigid joint. Now if you see here, this is a 90 degrees. So the deformation over here and the deformation in this beam, in this column, or in this column. Okay, so this deformation and again this deformation. So this should not change its angle. Okay, so this is the angle between the deformations. Okay, so this angle should be 90 degrees. Initially also it is 90 degrees. So there should not be any change in the deformation. So that is known as a rigid joint. Okay, so if you take this rigid joint, okay, this is a rigid joint. So this is a beam and this is a column and this is the connecting column, this is the first floor column and this is the base floor column. So when the deformations are happening over like this, so this theta value should not change. Even after deformation also, this theta value should not change. So that is the meaning of a rigid joint. So we will be seeing few examples for this rigid joint. Okay. So now this rigid joint is divided into two parts actually. The first one is a continuous behavior, second one is an independent behavior. Now if you see, this is a continuous beam having end support as a fixed support and right hand end support is hinge support, and the interior support is an intermediate support which is a hinged. Okay. So in the continuous behavior, if you see, this is the deflection over here like this. Okay. So if you calculate the slopes on the right hand side, on the left hand side should be theta. Okay. So their signs may change based upon the direction, some a positive sign and negative sign. This is behaving as a rigid joint. Now if you see these are the columns and a beam. So this deformation is called like continuous behavior, which this behavior which we are seeing in our which we can see in our daily life buildings like 3-story buildings, 5-story buildings and all those buildings. Okay. Suppose if you are having a hinge over here, if there is present our hinge over here, so this part will behave independently and this part will behave independently. Okay. Suppose if you see any bridge structure in between the expansion joint. Okay. So this type of behavior you can see in your bridges. Okay. When you are traveling on a bridge, suddenly you will be getting some bumps. So that bump is nothing but this expansion joint, this gap which is meant for expansion and contraction during winter and summer seasons. So this expansion joint is allowed. Okay. Right. So this is about independent behavior. So here there are two examples of beam. So internal reactions, as I have shown you earlier, Rx, Ry and M. Number of internal reactions will be 3 in a 2D, that is axial force, shear force and bending moment. For a 3D structure, there will be 6 type of reactions. One will be axial force, Rx, other one will be Ry and Rz, perpendicular directions, and another one will be bending moment, Mx and My, and torsional moment. So torsional moment, the load which is coming perpendicular to the plane, so that will create a torsional moment in a structure. Okay. The load which is acting out of plane, we sometimes we can call it as out of plane. When the load is acting out of plane, we can, so in such type of condition there will be the generation of torsional moment. Okay. So this is about the introduction. In the next tomorrow we will be seeing the static and kinematic indeterminacies. Thank you.